Okay, recording's on. First topic this week is from Nicholas.
Hello, Casey. Thanks for working with me on the PR. I was just wondering what the next steps are for getting it merged. So just to provide some background, I ran the RGW slash singleton subsuite, and my tautology tests passed. Um, but when I like rebase my branch like on main, like some like other tests unrelated to like my tests failed, and the the file containing my tests didn't execute my tests because like due to some other failure. Um, yeah, so I was just wondering what I can do to get it merged.
Thanks. Yeah, I updated the PR with the Truthology results that you sent in a DM. And I added a comment there saying which tracker issue we have for the broken Rados GW admin test. I can add it to the agenda also. But that's been broken for 3 weeks now and nobody's looked at it yet. So I would love to find volunteers to help with that. Seems to be related to the output of usage show changing. But in terms of your PR, I guess since you had a successful run on an earlier branch, right?
Yeah, I can share the successful run too. I guess I can paste it in the chat. Yeah, there was a successful run on an earlier branch before I rebased.
So all that changed was a rebase. No, none of the tests changed in between.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm tempted to say that's good enough to merge. What do other people think?
I'd request one manual local test. Other than that, I think it's probably good to merge.
Yeah, this sounds good. I had already, like in the PR, I had already run, I wrote some tests and ran it with vstart. I screenshotted the results and posted it in the PR comments, well, in the PR description.
Yeah, part of the problem though is that the Rados GW admin rest task that runs in Truthology for this stuff doesn't really have a run locally mode, so we can't really use local validation for that. But since we saw it pass on an earlier branch, I think there's a pretty low risk that it'll start failing once we fix the other test. So I am for merging.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
Tangentially, it's probably worth putting some effort into abstracting these test cases so that they can run in a local mode and also in Truthology. I can create a tracker issue for that in our testing tracker. but I will go ahead and merge the PR now. Thanks very much for working on this.
Thanks, Casey, for working with me on it.
All right, let's move on. Next topic is yours, Dan.
Yep. So I realize that this isn't really the correct forum for this, but I wanted to give people a heads up and just start a discussion. Recently, we here at IBM, that legal gave a policy for allowing AI generated code to be committed to open source projects with certain caveats. The biggest caveat is that if the project is not an IBM owned project, which of course Ceph isn't, it's owned by the foundation, then the project has to decide whether or not to allow AI contributions. So this is something I'm going to be talking to people about next week at Cephalicon, and hopefully we can get some movement by the foundation to decide one way or the other about whether or not we want to allow AI generated contributions into Ceph. Like I said, if for IBM employees, there's a lot of caveats. We have to use certain types of models, and we have to, bracket the generated code with comments indicating it's generated code and some other stuff like that. And that's regardless of whether or not, those requirements are from the Ceph Foundation. But yeah, I don't particularly want to start a discussion here today about whether or not we should. But I want people to be aware that this discussion is coming up, and that a decision will eventually have to be made by the foundation.
Thanks, Dan. I don't know that there is any current prohibition about AI generated code.
Yeah, but the IBM policy requires specific permission.
Yeah, but this forum is not an IBM forum. I mean, there are people here that work for different corporate. There could be
I understand.
independent contributors, and they don't need to adhere to anything that IBM says. Right?
That I totally understand that.
But
I have.
Yeah, wouldn't the proper form for this be like the steering committee that Dan hosts? Because to me, this would be a steering committee decision.
Okay. I mean, that is one of the things I'm looking for is, where should I bring this up to talk to people about?
Yeah, if you aren't aware, the Ceph Steering Committee meets every Monday. It's 11 a.m. Eastern. Next week is canceled due to Cephalicon, but
Yep.
maybe the week after, if you can make it, we could start a discussion there.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on this for now? All right, next was just from me suggesting that we probably want to cancel this meeting next week also due to Cephalicon. All right, any final topics for today then? Okay, great. Thanks everyone.
Okay.